Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome to Silent Podcast, where we're anything but silent. My name is Geneva, and I am here with my two fellow co-hosts, Jason. Jason, how are you doing?
Doing really well. Thanks.
And I'm also here with Carrie. How are you doing, Carrie?
I am great. My softball team got its first win today, so I'm on that elimination win high, except we wouldn't have gotten eliminated from anything.
Well, that's
just a win. Just a win.
I love that. Winning is always exciting.
It's way more fun than losing, that's for sure.
That's for sure. And of course, I know it hurt for two people to lose in this episode, and unfortunately lose their stake at the money at the end. But, we're going to talk about Free Fallin', which is episode 6 for the Challenge All-Stars. And yes, there was some free falling, I guess, when we look at the daily. But yeah, we're going to just dive into the episode, talk about our thoughts. And yeah, so last week, we saw Alton and Aneesa win the elimination. Super exciting. And, Derek was being a hype man, being like, here's our big winner. And Jemmye, I feel like, has become like the ultimate like narrator of this season, and I feel like she provides just a lot of the commentary that gets us through, whether it's just basic information or she just provides, I think, really good insight on just her opinion on certain situations, which I think I usually agree with what she has to say. But she mentions we're kind of in this double elimination mode, and basically every day is a girl's day and a guy's day, so you have to be prepared to go in. And Aneesa knows there's a lot of pressure after 14 seasons to win, and she knows it'll be hard, but she wants the chance to get to the final and really show what she's made of and win this game. And Janae talks about how, TJ throwing in the twist made this elimination the most stressful game that she's ever played. She doesn't want to go in. She hasn't made it that far in the past, and she's here to prove herself. And prove to her family that she can do it. And it's interesting because that the voting situation is different. People probably won't drag her in into an elimination, or like a guy probably won't be like, Katie, I choose you to come in elimination with me. She's very self-aware, and she's not athletic, as she said. So what are your guys' initial thoughts on some of these statements and comments?
Go ahead, Jason. I don't know if I have
okay
any
if you
thoughts.
don't have any, but just figure.
I might need to hear your thoughts.
So things I picked up on in the beginning segments of this episode was, first, Katie asking everyone who wants to make a pizza. This was relevant to me because I recently listened to Aneesa and Corey's podcast, and they were reflecting about the CT argument with Josh about making pizza. And I think this must be the thing in the Challenge House, that they all know how to cook, it tastes good, and it's really easy. Other things I noticed when Aneesa was celebrating, who was congratulating her, putting his arm around her shoulder. Did y'all notice?
No.
Laterrian.
Oh, well, okay. That was like, I wanted to guess that based off of what we've seen, but yeah, okay. Go on. Go on.
The last thing I found most interesting, and I just didn't remember, I've been watching this show for a while, but when Janae said her elimination record was 2-7, I thought to myself, so she's been eliminated 7 times. I didn't realize she was on that many seasons. Carrie, do you remember that?
I feel like we had a lot. I remember her being on some seasons in her prime dating Zach era. The fact that it's 2-7 doesn't mean she was actually on 7 seasons. Is there any way that she might have doubled up on one? I don't know. 7 seasons is a lot, but I guess it's 3.5 years on their current schedule. So maybe it's not that much, but we got a lot of Janae when there was Zach. So
I mean, she did note that she hadn't gotten far on these seasons, so she could have very well been on so many seasons, but unfortunately did not. But, we can we can always check this. So Rivals Battle of the Seasons, Rivals 2 Free Agents Battle of the Exes, and All Stars. So that's in terms of her history. Thanks to those wikis out there.
Yeah, shout out.
So continuing on, there is some interaction between Aneesa and Laterrian. She's wearing her glasses, refers to herself as a nerd. He mentions he's a single guy with no kids, and he loves that Aneesa isn't afraid to go into the arena. And it really turns him on that she has bruises on her knuckles from competing in the elimination with Alton. And then they also just generally have a conversation about, he's like, oh, like, I want to go to the bathroom. There's Gisela in the bathroom with Alton. I'd like to brush my teeth. And then they, have this like fun joking around. And Aneesa says there's a sweet side of Laterrian that he shares with certain people and not everyone. He seems aggressive, but he's an aggressive teddy bear, if you can imagine that. And then he says he'll just wait because he doesn't want to disturb her. And Aneesa said if he waits, he'll just be waiting for hours. So any thoughts on this interaction?
A ton, actually.
Yes, I love it.
A ton. So my first question is, does Laterrian come off as like aggressive or any of these things? Because I feel like a few people have said that he's like a little bit standoffish, kind of aggressive, hard to get to know, where I just feel like Laterrian is kind of like a competitive dude, and that's his personality, like that there isn't a lot of depth to it. And so, and maybe I'm just reading him wrong. What is your two perception of Laterrian, first and foremost, before I have some other thoughts on this situation?
Yeah. I agree with you. I think he's competitive. He hasn't been on the show in so long, so he doesn't have these long-standing friendships. He's there to win. He doesn't really care how people perceive him, and I really appreciate that about him. He's there for one reason. I guess now two reasons: to win and also to be a good friend.
Oh, yeah. I thought you were going to say him for Aneesa, so.
I wish. I'm shipping them hard.
You threw me a curveball.
So wholesome. But yeah, I'd say for me, I think he just seems intense. I think he has that intensity, but he's also pretty serious. And I mean, why not be serious if you're there to win money? But I think we see, that softer side that Aneesa talks about in this episode, even more so, where, we'll talk more about it, but he made lots of comments like, is he going to abandon a friend when they're in need? Or, he might not be able to sleep at night. Or is he just going to go win the money for himself? And that's something that I think he has a challenge of dealing with. I think, though, in general, yeah, I guess I don't see maybe that aggressive side. Maybe a bit like he just seems very determined and focused when he's like in challenges and elimination. But I guess I haven't seen that aggression that has been discussed.
The only time he came across as aggressive to me is when he was destroying what's his face in the pole wrestle the first week, like jamming him on the ground, like the plunger motion. That was aggressive, but to be fair, it was in like an elimination, and I don't think that that's his true personality as much as it is like I go hard in the paint. I don't see aggressive. I feel like he's focused. He knows what he wants, and like he's a grown man. It has been a long time since he's been on one of these shows that it's like harder to get him caught up in the drama. I just don't see him as aggressive. So I wish that like wasn't a descriptor of him, because I don't feel like we see any aggressiveness out of this guy. My second question: did you guys expect this much like romance on this OG season? Because I'm like, they're all going to be like married with kids and sick of like people watching them having sex on TV. That's like a past part of their life. And we're getting more of it in these 9 episodes or this 9-episode series than we did on like the last 3 seasons of the challenge combined. So much. There's so much of it. I am perplexed.
I also noticed that about the episode and was thinking that when it happened, it's 3 more romances than I anticipated happening because we thought about who they are, their stage in life. A lot of them are parents. They don't want their kids seeing this, but these people don't care. And I'm loving it. It's hilarious. And it's so surprising every time. And that's what I appreciate about the show is week after week, I'm just surprised at the drama that occurs.
Same. Yeah, I've been shocked by the amount of potential showmances, but unfortunately, this one doesn't last very long based on what happens. But I was very intrigued by this. I was like, oh, I want to see what's going to happen between Aneesa and Laterrian. But yeah, I think it's been surprising because I'm like, well, all of these contestants are much older. So most of them might be in either long-term relationships or married, but not everyone is in that situation. Some people are single or maybe have a divorce or have gone through certain things. So I guess that is what we're seeing, that some other people are like, well, this person is cute. This person's attractive. I like this person. This person is super strong and that really attracts me and turns me on or whatever. And so then we're seeing that happen. So I'm glad we're seeing it. I'm glad we're getting an additional layer because we normally don't see it. But so I think it's been a cool added area because I think that's not what we would typically see. I think when we would have older contestants, that's I think what we expect from maybe the 20-somethings who would be on a show.
And it also, in this, with Aneesa and Laterrian, I think it has the most opportunity to succeed and for them to, fall in love maybe, because she did give him a nickname.
Laterry Bear?
Laterry Bear, the newest member of our nickname team. I've been tracking this all season. And so he's now on the squad. I think they have a lot of potential.
I love it.
My one last question, so I guess I didn't have thoughts as much as I had questions, is can you name any other challenger who seems to, care less than Aneesa does in terms of just, putting it all out there for us to see on TV? I don't know if I want to call it real as much as it is, she has no problem hooking up with people. We've seen her run the gamut in terms of challenge competitors who she's also had some relations with. I feel like she also allows us to see certain parts of her life where she's never hidden that she was a stripper. We've seen the times where she's had difficulty with the intersectionality of her race and religion, which are seen as a unique combination. Is there anybody who cares less about putting it all out there? Can you think of anyone? Because here's Aneesa just jumping in bed with Laterrian, and good on her, because I think Laterrian's a good looking dude. Get on it, Aneesa. I support you, girl. But I just feel like I've seen this woman do so much that I would never put on TV. Ever.
The first person I thought of was Coral, the robbed goddess of this season. But I also think Ashley Mitchell her early on in her challenge career, she was doing whatever she wanted, didn't care what people thought, would hook up with whomever she wanted, win challenges, won the whole thing, stole the money. And no one else, I think, could give us that raw emotion and honest perspective of who she is. She's not afraid to share her feelings and stand up for herself. And I think few competitors stand up for themselves and advocate for themselves as much as she does.
Maybe Kayla as well.
Oh.
Now that you said that, it made me think of Kayla, and she might be in the same boat. I've always really liked Kayla. So maybe Kayla too. But that was just a thought I had, that I feel like I've seen a lot of parts of Aneesa's life that, I wouldn't even tell my best friend, and she's like, hey, MTV, I don't give a fuck. Watch me.
I guess because she's been on for so many seasons. She's like, well, okay, well, it's
she's
whatever.
Grown
I'm sharing
up on
things
television.
on MTV. I'm sharing things with, people already know me, so she doesn't probably have a huge issue with that. This won't be too much to reference it because I know some people maybe have not particularly watched this, but with the reunion, the second part, I think there were a lot of deleted scenes that we saw of different hookups and stuff like that. And so I do think that Aneesa and and like actually definitely do fit those descriptions, and people being very open and not caring and being open, carefree.
Mhm.
So I think that is I think those are probably the two people that come to mind for me at least.
I have one more question. I'm sorry that I said it was on my last one. I've thought of it very recently, within the last 13 to 25 seconds. So if you had to pick the couple, I say with quotations, that has formed on this season to go in and win an elimination, which one do you pick? Do you pick Nehemiah and Jemmye? Do you pick Alton and Gisela? Or do you pick Laterrian and Aneesa? I have my pick. It might surprise you.
Geneva, why don't you go first?
I mean, personally, I would have said Laterrian and Aneesa. Maybe that's just me. But I'd say if my next pick would have been like probably, I would say, I'd say like Alton and Gisela probably.
What's yours, Jason?
I think Alton and Gisela.
So as we know, I think Alton will win everything he ever does in his entire life. But I do think I would pick Laterrian and Aneesa as well. I just don't know. I don't know if it's an endurance thing. I don't think Gisela can carry her end of whatever she needs to for that responsibility. So I don't know. I think I would go with those two. Okay, I'm done with my questions about these. Proceed.
Okay, sounds good. So now we run into our good, wonderful host TJ, and he's like, "Welcome to your next challenge. You're going to be playing as teams, but individual success is paramount to your team success."
Got him,
what
TJ. Cue the drum set.
Oh.
Yeah.
Shameless plug, shameless promotion for Paramount Plus, which is where you can watch the Challenge All-Stars. So this challenge is called Escape the Room. And it is mentioned they've never done anything like this before. 4 teams of 4, they're basically placed inside this container that's about 30 feet basically over the water. There are 4 stations in it. Each person is like basically on their own like station, and they have to solve a puzzle as fast as they can. And progressively the floors will open from left to right, and the team that solves the most puzzles will win the challenge. And the team captains will be safe from elimination. And then of course the losing team captains will go straight into the arena. And since it's a double and now the men and women are going in, we don't have that lifesaver type situation anymore. So high stakes here. But this time, the woman who goes into elimination will be able to choose her male partner or counterpart. So we have the 4 teams. So we have the gold team, Ruthie, Big Easy, Jonna, Laterrian. Silver team, Gisela, you have Alton, Kellyanne, and Darrell. Copper team, you have Katie, Yes, Aneesa, and Derek. And the black team, you have Mark, Kendall, Nehemiah, and Jemmye. So they have 2 minutes to figure out their captains. Again, we see some rock, paper, scissors to the side.
That's the only way to solve an issue besides a dance-off. So I support it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So then we see that Big Easy becomes the captain for gold with Ruthie. I was actually, in a sense, I was like, I feel like, I don't know. I just feel like I haven't seen a lot of Big Easy. So I was kind of hoping that he would end up becoming a team captain. But I think he, showed people his worth in this episode. It basically then Jonna wants to make it to the final, but she doesn't want to put her, butt on the line, says Ruthie. And Ruthie says, there's no way in her mind that they'll lose. So Ruthie's like, I'm going to take one for the team. And then, Kellyanne and Darrell become the team captains for silver. And Kellyanne said she'd rather be with Darrell than any of the other guys anyway. So if she does lose, she'll have a good partner for going into elimination. Katie and Yes are the team captains for copper. Katie knows Aneesa went into elimination the night before. She knows she's bad at heights and wants to take responsibility if they lose. And Kendall and Mark are captains. Kendall wants to be captain to put her own fate in her own hands rather than be, voted into elimination. And basically for Mark, Kendall is not his favorite, which we've seen. He's wanted her gone. But this time he knows he needs her. If he loses, his butt is going into the arena with Kendall, and then he could very well go home. So any thoughts about, I guess, just the setup before we, I guess, talk about the challenge itself?
I feel like they love shipping containers on the challenge, though. Do you remember the one where the shipping container like angled? And do you remember just CT like getting launched at like all these small men?
And
I just like
back and forth.
Yeah, like I'm like, oh my god, imagine and it wasn't like fit CT like he is now. It was like full on dad bod CT about to kill a dude. Like, oh my god, I remember that being scary. I feel are shipping containers cheap? Is that why they're like such a used prop on this show? I feel like
it looks cool. I don't know. They just think it looks like the challenge. I don't know. I don't even know if that makes any sense.
Just putting that out there. I feel like we see a lot of those things.
That being said, I did really like this challenge. I thought it was interesting. It was creative. There were multiple elements. The puzzle wasn't that easy. A lot of them said they were going to be great at puzzles. Yeah. Not so fast. Another thing I noticed, we always talk about the teams and how they're selected. Jemmye and Nehemiah are on a team again. Mm-hmm. And without reviewing my notes, but I mean, this is for the third or fourth episode in a row.
Also, Mark and Kendall are on that same team, which to me seems a little sus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So producer manipulation.
I just wish we knew how they were picked. Yeah. I have a feeling it's not random and it's more like, okay, we're going to randomly pick 4 people and then they get to pick the next person. I feel like that's the only thing that would make some sense out of how these teams form. But, I mean, I'm not there.
I was also nervous when I saw the different team captains, the pairs that were selected, because I didn't want any of them to lose. I was happy with all of those people and wanted them back next week.
Yeah.
So I was instantly nervous and anxious throughout this challenge.
I just want to know, why hasn't anyone taught them like how to fall from heights into water? So, back in the day when I still worked in Connecticut, I had a group of students who like would go cliff jumping for fun and like film it with their drones and stuff and make these really cool videos. And we went on a senior like trip to this place where you could go cliff jumping. And so the people tell you who work there to like put your arms like this. And my students who like do cliff jumping for fun, and I trust them because they jump from like way fucking higher than we did. They're like, don't do that because that causes your weight to go back. And that's when you hit like your back and you don't go in straight up and down. You go in more on an angle and that's what hurts. Instead, when you're going down, you should almost be like pretending you're on a surfboard to like balance yourself straight up and down. Like if you go back and watch Aneesa fall, girl is like this because she is done with her puzzle and just like waiting, and she hits the water. Like all of her body hit the water, and I was like, oh, she's dead. Like she's gone. Poor Aneesa. So we fall from heights a lot in this show. Can we get a safety course on it or something?
They don't care. I don't think. I think they.
Katie would appreciate it.
She would, and I'm glad she did not injure. I'm glad she did not injure herself, but TJ, I think, really wants the injuries, which sounds kind of strange, but they think it's good TV, I guess. So that's probably why they don't teach them anything.
I'm out here caring for them.
No, it's good.
Please learn to fall. Gravity's not your friend. It's actually your arch enemy. Like, please. Anyway, go on.
No, you're good. So yeah, there were a lot of different things that happened within the challenge. So first it was gold versus silver. Darrell's legs were like shaking like crazy.
As he leg reference was good.
Yeah. He's trying to solve the puzzle as fast as he can. Jonay had noticed that her teammates had letters in their puzzle. So she realized she was approaching the entire thing completely wrong. And not focus, looking at the shapes and stuff. And I can see how the puzzle could be confusing. I think it was just kind of funny how so many people seem to spell these things sideways or upside down.
Like, why?
Yeah.
I'm like,
Why?
this doesn't seem wrong to you. This seems right. I don't know. It was very strange. So then, Alton had dropped. Big Easy had finished his pieces. He yelled done. Basically, he was strategizing and telling people like, oh, dark ones at the bottom, follow my puzzle. And then he was talking to Latyrian, and like once he told Latyrian to flip the puzzle, he fell, and Latyrian almost finished it. He said he did his best, but he hurt his butt on the way down. And then when we saw because like for some of the puzzles, we noticed that they started showing like, oh, this is wrong, like to the viewers, and I was like, yeah, you didn't do as well as you thought you did. Yeah, and then Ruthie was excited because she had the same letter for the puzzle. Darrell was like, I'm done, drop me, please. And he and Ruthie dropped. And yeah, so there was a lot of that going on. And then with Copper and Black, Anissa says puzzles are her jam. She feels like she'll, do the best she can for her team. Yes, also loves puzzles. Katie is nervous, anxious, and pissy. She says she's terrified and doesn't really care about the puzzle. She literally just flips over the puzzle, and then it's just like, I'm gonna fall. And I'm just like, you're not gonna at least try like, I don't know, 3 pieces? It's not gonna, they're not gonna drop her like 30 seconds later.
I felt so bad for Katie. She was trying her best at first and then just got petrified. It seems like her anxiety just took her over, and she was too afraid to even move the puzzle pieces.
Why? I just don't understand why you would put her first, because at least when you have someone else fall before you, okay, it's coming. They also saw the previous one, right? Because she went in the second group.
Yeah.
So you must have had at least an estimate of like, okay, person 1 fell. This person fell like 2 to 3 minutes later. So at least then in that 2 to 3 minutes, freak out. Putting her first seemed stupid to me because she wasted that whole time. I mean, given maybe she's not great at puzzles and it wouldn't matter, but like at least I would rather know like, okay, in between the start and whenever they decide to drop me is a much bigger gap than the first person fell. I'm in the second spot. It's coming within the next 3 to 5 minutes.
And we also got the montage of her past seasons falling. It broke my heart. Poor Katie.
It broke her face. So.
They are just giving her the worst. They keep bringing these montages back week after week. It's the same scenes. Bless her heart.
They had an overlay of Yes's voice. Keep those elbows in. Make sure you plug your nose. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so dramatic. And Ruthie has a very sick sense of humor and finds it funny when people are deathly afraid and would love to sit next to Katie on a plane.
Have you ever said that about anyone?
No, I never want to sit next to anyone on a plane. I want a whole row to myself. I celebrate that.
Yes, Carrie. Yes. I love having just as much space as I can. Yeah, I just thought that was very weird. Yes, she does have a very, very strange sense of humor. But yeah, Katie was just really nervous, but fortunately she didn't get hurt, and that was more important to her than winning. And yeah, so there's a lot more strategy going on. Kendall realized her puzzle was upside down and thought
that long.
I noticed it after Katie fell. After that scene when Ruthie talks about the airplane, too. I wrote in my notes, Kendall's E is backwards. She doesn't see it. What do you think?
Then she noticed
it's a pointy 3. It wasn't an E. It was a pointy 3. She didn't know that.
Yeah, and then she notices it, and then she's like, I'm afraid to like flip it and then fall.
Joke's on you. Her name is actually K3NDAL.
My
So
bad.
she was nervous to
Get it
lose
right.
credit. So do you think that she should have at least tried to switch it? I mean,
No.
considering, or do you think it was fine how it ended up?
I think she should have tried.
I wouldn't have.
Who said there was half credit? She sounded so surprised that there wasn't. I mean,
Sounds like a fellow math major in college when I'm like, I wrote the problem down. Give me a point at least. I understand her reasoning for not doing it because, like, if the puzzle is perfectly put together, which TJ said it was, I could see them being more lenient. Or, like, I think there's a higher possibility of getting the point then than if, like she said, she wouldn't have been able to flip everything around like Laterian had tried to do. So I understand kind of like, all right, fuck it. I don't think I'm going to be able to pull it off. So I'll cross my fingers and hope for the best. If not, I put my puzzle together. It just was upside down. The rest of you clowns can't say that except for Big Easy. So I don't know. Like, I don't think I would. I don't know. In the moment, I probably would have tried actually. But like, I understand her reasoning for not trying.
That makes sense, yeah.
yeah.
But I guess I was just like, I feel like by you saying this is not going to look good for you. And I think we basically saw that, and we found out that only one person got the whole puzzle correct.
Who did you think it was?
I actually thought Big Easy. When they said that, I'm like, oh, Big Easy's going to do something good. I don't understand how he's still around, so it's got to be him.
I think before the challenge, I did not think he was going to succeed like in this way. But I do think that when I saw him in the challenge, I was like, oh, it has to be Big Easy.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that the challenge kind of just omits showing us Big Easy being smart? Because in the mini final, when like Big Easy was like the best Wheel of Fortune contestant has ever to be seen, like we kind of got a little bit of foreshadowing then of like, oh, we got Big Easy, he's good at this, blah blah blah. And so given it was a different type of puzzle, but still puzzle and logical thinking nonetheless, and then for him to be the only one that does it here, like I don't remember this being like, we know Anissa likes puzzles, we know CT likes puzzles, like there's people who we have a bit more confidence in when a puzzle comes up, and I never remember that about Big Easy. Is this surprising to either of you?
It is
100%.
I just was like, I don't remember this about him.
I'm just like, people should just throw him into elimination, get him out. That's what I've been thinking. So I was like, I'm starting to have, different thoughts here. And
I think he's thinking that also. I heard, I watched this episode twice, and only on the second time I heard him say when they were leaving the challenge, now go back to the drawing board. So I think he knew the target was on his back and he had to perform.
I feel like it's been on his back for 3 weeks and he somehow keeps evading it, which like good on him, but I just feel like it's not the first week he's been the...
Well, that's why I feel like in my head, I'm like, how is he still here in a sense? I know that sounds strange, but I just feel like I've just had a sense he's been in danger for so long. But there's something that slightly happens that alters the plan, so he hasn't been in that position yet. So yeah, then Gold Team wins the challenge, and Ruthie and Big Easy are safe from elimination. And Ruthie said she dodged a bullet this week. And she doesn't care about the potential stank faces that people potentially have at her. And the losing team is the black team. And Kendall got the puzzle correctly upside down. And yeah, now she's supposed to be competing in elimination with Mark, who is someone who has wanted her gone for who knows how long. So that is definitely interesting. To me, I find it like, I get why she feels like she can't trust him, but I'm just like, I don't think he's going to sabotage you because he's going to go home too if he sabotages you. So her paranoia, I think, in this position seemed a bit strange to me because I'm like, well, if he wants to win the money, you both have to win together. So he's not gonna there's not much he can do in this situation.
Yeah,
And
I agree with you. Like that was a weird bit to get there, I guess. I didn't understand it.
Yeah, absolutely. And, Jemmy mentions it. Mark has been trying to get Kendall out all season, but his fate lies in Kendall's hands. You can't make this stuff up. And Mark is cool, with any of the guys. So he basically tells Kendall, like, the decision's up to you on who you think you should beat. Kendall doesn't really want to go against Jemmy, Kellyanne, Anissa, or Jonna. And then she mentions how she would feel terrible going, I guess feel bad about going against Katie. But they're not really sure what type of challenge it is. And so it just seems like there's a lot of unknowns here, which I think is kind of, not something we've been seeing this season. I feel like a lot of the time we are seeing this person's like, I want to target this person and I want them to come into elimination with me because I'm going to beat them. But she basically left it up to the house to decide. And so we do see the nominations, and Katie straight out of the gate is like, I did nothing except cross my arms in the challenge the entire time. So I feel it's not fair for the other girls to go into elimination. So I will go in. And then Jemmy's like, am I the only person that knows that the whole point of the game is to avoid
Confessional was so good. I loved it.
Everything.
I love the confessionals. Old Katie would have never done this.
Old Katie doesn't even recognize new Katie.
This isn't your kid's soccer league. This is the challenge. $500,000 is on the line. Get out of parent mode. Get back to challenge savage mode. That's why I've just been confused. So I get that she's owning up to, she didn't really do the challenge. So she feels like, I guess I'm going to go in. But what do you think of this approach? Do you think that maybe she should just at least wait for someone to prompt targeting her instead?
Jason, do you mind if I answer this first?
Oh, please go ahead.
Boo! Why? I think that Kendall is right in this, and I think Jemmy's right in this. We need to see where these lines are in the sand. Like, I get that everybody's getting along and shit, but there's alliances. There's no way there's not. Let's make people expose themselves. Stop making this easy for everyone else. Boo, Katie. Boo. Okay, I'm done.
I will echo those boos. I was disappointed. Correct me if I'm wrong, please, but this is not the first time Katie has volunteered herself to go in.
Nope.
Is this her strategy? She talks all this hype. I'm better in eliminations than dailies. She gets herself thrown in. She gets saved. We know how this went. I think she's all talk. I was disappointed. I agree with what y'all are saying, that we need to make people vote. We need to see where the lines are drawn in the sand. Who's targeting who? And I'm just sick of this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't like this strategy of nominations. I'm like, okay, well, I guess it makes everyone else happy, but I'm just like, that's not how this should go. Why are people volunteering? I would never volunteer to actively go into elimination if I'm not getting any benefit out of it. I would understand if we were challenge 36, we're getting a skull or something out of it, right? But that's not what's happening here. So what's the point? Just to show everyone that you can win an elimination, and then if you don't, then you just go home and lose your chance at the money.
And all these guys are like, well, I trust you, but don't pick me.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. We will definitely talk about that party.
But rhyme or reason I can understand to this is I think a lot of times in the challenge, once someone goes in and they're the vote in, people keep throwing their name out for the next eliminations. And so I think you almost get to it wasn't your name being thrown in there. You putting yourself in that, if you do come back, I feel like you have less of a chance of being put in the next time because, like, you know what? Katie volunteered herself and she did what she said she would. She came back, she won. Like, we can't put Katie back in this right. She just came back. She just volunteered. Like, that's the only positive I guess I see out of doing that. Like Kendall said, like, I don't want to be the house vote. And I think because once you are, it's easy to continue being it.
Yeah.
So maybe that's it, but still, like, maybe she's just trying to get her appearance fee to go home. I don't know.
Yeah,
She's
maybe.
got a husband and kids that she misses.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying I support it because the best way to not get eliminated is to not go into an elimination, but maybe that's it.
And I believe it was Kellyanne who was basically like, so your vote is for you, but unfortunately, since you have to pick a guy, we can't allow you to vote yourself in. It has to be okay with the guys as well.
Good on Kellyanne. Kellyanne knows what brings in the viewers, and it's not people volunteering themselves as tribute. That's for sure.
I was like, what? Okay. I thought it was funny though. I loved it. And then, you know, the guys are asked, like, you know, how do you feel about Katie saying this? And then Nehemiah's like, are all the guys hiding their faces? And this just really bothers Tyrion. He's like, I love all the people in this house, but a lot of people are scared to go into elimination, and it bugs me. And people are, I guess, start telling Katie, like, she'll kill it. They have total faith in her. She could go and come back. So then people vote for her. But Alton mentions he doesn't want to compete against Mark in hopes that Katie doesn't pick him. You know, Darrell says his back hurts, so leave him out of it. And yes, say that she will see the elimination and then she'll get to pick her partner. And that puts Katie in a powerful position. And then we do get to the party because we know that right after it's just like the same thing. Okay, we got the nomination and then we got the party. And basically, like Katie likes to describe, it's in a sense the reverse Bachelor, but probably I'd say Bachelorette technically. Also, it's kind of funny because the next Bachelorette is named Katie, and I actually think Katie kind of looks like Katie. So I just thought that was interesting. But anyway, yeah, so we see some bloody faces. We see stuff about puzzle piece head trauma, and we see Nehemiah saying that he might not be the best option aside from messing up his eye, but he does think they could be a good team. Mark says he feels confident in elimination against Nehemiah, yes, or Alton, but he has to rely on Kendall, which stresses him out. And this is where I don't know, just these comments from Mark and Kendall as they're working as a team just really confuse me because I'm just like, she's not going to sabotage your game and send herself home. So that's just kind of what's, you know.
To be fair, she did say earlier on, like, I'm not here for the money. And so if $500,000 isn't a motivating enough factor to you, then I'm not sure what is to go all out.
So what's she there for?
I asked that like 4 weeks ago, and I still haven't gotten an answer because she isn't even is she a mom? Am I making that up?
Yeah, she's a mom.
She's a mom, right? Like, you know how some of them are like, I'm here to show my kids that, like, I'm a strong, independent woman. I can do this, blah, blah. And Kendall's just kind of like, I'm here to do yoga in nature, and then sometimes I compete. And, like, if I don't really, the money is not that. What is your motivate? I don't get it. What are you? So I guess I can understand some concern because she has said out loud to Derek, who is like Mark's best friend, I don't care about the money. So what's motivating you? Given she's killing it, so whatever her motivation is greater than, more motivating than money. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess the experience of being able to come back. I don't know. I think that's how a lot of people were talking about it. Like, oh, you know, I'm here to hang out with my friends, but I feel like Kendall doesn't really have many friends, so I don't really know what she's really getting out of it.
She's there to hang out with Darrell.
To be fair, if you told me that I got to go and hang out with Darrell and then I'd have to do yoga for 8 hours a day in order to be able to do that, I would I would undisputedly consider it, and I hate yoga. So
And before we leave the bar, did y'all notice the return of the crown?
when
That
was
Katie had it on her head.
Uh-huh.
It said
Oh.
Queen written on it. Did y'all see this?
I saw
I
the
saw
crown, but
this.
when you say
Yes.
return, where did it come back from? Or where was it originally?
Didn't Mark have it on?
Oh, last
Am I making this up, right? This
No,
is
you're not. Yes, this
My
actually
attention to
happened. You're
detail,
not
not
making
great.
it up.
That's why I'm asking,
Okay.
not because I don't believe you. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm asking because I don't know what you're talking about.
the thing on her
Like,
head.
yeah, I know the
did
crown.
notice
I
this.
remember the
Yes.
crown this week. I don't remember Mark wearing it, but I believe you that Mark wore it. Was it last week he wore it when he had, or the week that he had the
The week he used the
lifesaver?
lifesaver. So 2 weeks ago,
Oh.
I guess.
Okay,
Mhm.
all right then. Yeah, I believe you.
I mean,
It's
he
bad.
did save her with the lifesaver. I'm sure he gave her his crown.
What if Mark just like came down with? Well, I guess he couldn't because he was already down there, and like gave Katie the crown and saved her again. But it's not a real lifesaver. It's you got a fake idol. Sorry, buddy.
Oh yes, yeah. So there, lots of discussions at this party, this event. People who are like, I want this person to go in, or I don't want to go in, or this is what's going to happen. But Latyrion basically straight up says, like, if you want to go in, like, and you want to bring me in, I'm down for it. He understands that the other guys are playing smart. They don't want to take the chance of losing $500,000, but he wouldn't be able to sleep well at night thinking there was someone in need, and that he would be only thinking about himself. And so, yeah, so we see that selfless side of him, and
That's
even
nice
Mark
and all, but like, it's a bit of a reach for me. They didn't, and someone else said it like they're not even that close. You know what I mean? Like, I could understand if it was.
I think it was
Anissa.
Anissa. Yeah,
I think Anissa said it. I can understand if like Anissa was the one going in and he was like, I'll man up. Let's do this. I got you, fam. Versus like if he isn't even really friends with Katie that much and is like, I don't know.
I mean, he was referring to her as a friend, but I don't know if maybe Anissa just doesn't know the their relationship, their personal relationship.
Maybe
because I think maybe if he didn't have some sort of I guess connection in some way, like friendship, I don't know why he would feel guilty about it. But I think that could be it. I don't know.
I also think he was feeling really confident after winning last week's individual challenge.
Yeah.
Hanging out with Anissa, he was feeling, that his stock was rising, and he wanted to do this and take out Mark and make a really big move. And I think that might have been motivating him to nominate himself.
I've realized what's wrong, or like why Latyrion lost. Though, is it too soon for this? I don't think him and Anissa actually fooled around. The last few times when the dude goes in and he hooks up with the girl the night before, those cuddles didn't do it. We needed a little bit more action. And Anissa could have saved Latyrion. I hope Anissa's losing sleep tonight because of this.
Maybe she was hopeful he wouldn't be picked, and so she didn't feel the need to do anything. She thought he was going to maybe potentially be there. I don't know. I mean, I think it was kind of, with the edit, we could kind of tell it was going his way. But I'm not sure, how aware or not she was of who might have been potentially pulled in.
Oh, I'm just giving her a hard time. That's just.
Oh, I know. I'm just thinking about.
I've created my own patterns that I have decided are absolute truths, and I refuse to believe anything else.
And that's okay. We love it.
These are my truths.
And your truths are relevant to this discussion. So thank you so much for them. But yeah, that happens, and then Mark and Kendall talk, and Mark's like, we need to stay calm. And then Kendall's like, yeah, it's just going to be us doing our best, doing our own thing. And then she says, I feel like you didn't want me here. And then he basically is like, well, whatever I have to block it out for the moment. I will. Kendall feels confident that Mark wants to be there. Mark is not giving up. And then Well, it's interesting because there's a group conversation about some potential guys that Katie could pull in. Anissa had a suggestion of 3, but she didn't actually say her 3. I'm actually curious who she was going to say, but Kellyanne named basically Latyrian, yes, Jarrell and Derek.
Mhm.
And I think Katie will feel really bad if she doesn't win because she's taking away someone's chance at the money. And at this point, she's between Yes and Latyrian, but she doesn't know who's going to be guaranteed win for her. And Anissa doesn't really want to see any of the guys go, but obviously she would want Latyrian to be out of the equation for obvious reasons. But yeah, then we get to the elimination. And so, as we know, Mark and Kendall, they lost. So they're competing as a team. Katie was nominated, which was no surprise. DJ jokes about Katie and her past history of injuring herself with puzzles. Everyone's looking around as if they don't want to get picked, looking at the sky, the bees, etc. But Katie chooses Latyrian, as we all expected. Anissa's like, Katie picks my Latyrian bear. I get it. He's strong, but she doesn't have a close connection with him. It sucks because he's, kind of growing on me. And Katie really feels like Latyrian will do great against Mark, and she thinks that he has the strength, and Latyrian says the money would change his life, but he wouldn't be able to sleep at night if he didn't help a friend in need. And so then you have this competition, pull me over, just think, tug of war, and standing on stumps, you pull the rope as fast as you can until it's tight, and you try to pull the opponent off the log or take, the rope out of their hands. And Katie wants to make her family proud and win the money to build her family a home. And Latyrian, of course, doesn't want to let his partner down. He is going to work hard to do what he can to win. And Mark says they're leaving with the victory no matter what, him and Kendall. And Ysella just really wants Kendall to go. Like, really wants Kendall to go. Needs her to go home. But of course, she's grateful that Alton isn't in there. And basically, Mark's going to make them earn the money. And so that's like the general setup. You have any initial thoughts about this commentary? If not, we can of course get into the actual elimination.
No,
Cool.
I mean, I think that like Ysella did a great job of kind of summing everything up during that pre elimination vibe of just how everyone was at. Like, there's a lot of people they were pulling for not to go in. However, question, do you think, so regardless of personal connections, anything, do you think Latyrian was the best choice, or would you have picked someone else?
I was thinking about this when watching it. I think Latyrian was a really good choice. He's very strong. He's competitive. He's strong-willed.
He's aggressive, don't forget.
He's very aggressive. Oh, yeah.
The most.
I thought Yes also was a good alternative. I agreed with what Katie said. He is agile. He's very smart. But I think this is more about brute strength. But as I'm saying that, I'm having contradicting thoughts because I remember when Jordan beat Josh a few seasons ago, and
that's just because Josh is a brute.
And he outsmarted Josh. He had strategy, and I was curious if any of the competitors tonight were going to try to like twist the rope around like Jordan had done a few seasons ago.
I feel like they were closer together on that season though, so it's like easier to mess with the rope a bit, where because this rope was they were further away and the rope was bigger, that I felt like more of it was strength related than it would have been like Jordan strategy related. But I had the same thought. I don't know. I think Latyrian was a good choice. I do also think that maybe Darrell would have been a good choice. But as I was thinking, like, so removing all of the connections and stuff, I'm wondering, because you have Katie, who is a mom and a wife. If you take the stories of some of these people, she probably feels okay taking out Laterian, who's a single man, right? You have Derek, who just got engaged before getting on the show, and he has a kid. Then you have Darrell, who has a wife and kids at home. And so, yes, those are choices, but like, I feel like Katie probably has a harder time potentially taking one of the two of them home and away from money versus Laterian.
Mhm.
So I don't know. I probably would have gone with Darrell over Laterian, but I also understand if you're considering all of that stuff and you have a heart going with, like, I don't think Laterian was a bad
he also
choice.
volunteered in a sense, like obviously
Yeah.
he didn't,
And I think
like,
he made her feel the best about it when everyone else was like,
Yeah.
nah, I got COVID, I'm out for 2 weeks, like, catch you after. But
Yes.
I think that I
Yeah.
would have picked Darrell. However, I don't think Laterian was a bad choice. I don't know if Yes would have been a good choice. I think if the ropes were closer together, or the stumps were closer together, then I would have considered Yes, but that was a lot of strength, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, he did really well, and I mean they almost won, so
Mhm.
you know, I don't think necessarily it was a bad
No,
choice, but
I'm not
I
taking
do agree
anything
with
away
you.
from
I do
Laterian.
agree with you that Darrell could have potentially been a better choice, but I think Laterian was a good choice, and I think that
Yeah.
I mean they seriously did have a good shot, and they, you know, fought hard. And Kendall basically says the ropes are heavy. It's using a lot of her muscles, not just her arms, but her like fingers, you know, legs, you know, everything. And this rope is like 200 feet long or something, she had said.
Yeah.
And Nehemiah was saying Kendall's using her yoga, using her crouching tiger, hidden Kendall. And Katie is hunched over using the wrong muscles. She's starting to fatigue, and it's not looking good for her. And then, what a surprise, Nehemiah, you were wrong. Because Katie outlasted Kendall.
Wow.
That was so funny. I was like, ooh, this is great, honestly, because I was like, no, I hope you're wrong. And then he was wrong. Oh my gosh. And so yeah, so that happened. So both Katie and Laterian ended up getting a point. And then of course Mark is like, tonight is the night for the Godfather to show up. If I can wear this guy in his forearms and his hands go dead, then I have a good shot at winning this thing. And then, unfortunately, you know, Laterian had foul, and you know, Mark and Kendall, they got their point because they, you know, both outlasted.
Mhm.
But then with the second one, you know, I think when Katie gave up, she was kind of like, I'll let them have this one. I would rather rest up to make sure that I can get this, you know, point that we need. Laterian is spent. Katie is spent. They're all spent. Laterian's body's like no more, and his head's like, but yeah, I'm gonna do this. And Yes mentions the biggest biceps in the house are going against each other. Katie's forearms are burning. Her hands really hurt, and unfortunately, she drops. Derek's face. Oh my gosh, he did not look thrilled about that. Mark says he needs to win. You know, it's right now where he needs to show he's the man. And Laterian, you know, says his back, you know, is like seizing up. His forearms are cramping. Four of the best and strongest competitors in the house are going at each other. And, you know, Kendall's trying to, you know, motivate Mark and stuff. And he's like, you know, she's like, take the rest of the rope. And then I literally wrote, no, in my notes. Unfortunately, because I really didn't want to see Laterian go home.
Mm-hmm.
So that was very sad for me. But unfortunately, yeah, because you know, Katie and Laterian only got 1 point, and Kendall and Mark got 2. Kendall and Mark 1, and Katie and Laterian must go home. And Laterian said he gave it all he had. He's so glad Katie picked him. And then Mark's like, just when you thought the old man was done, he pulled a zinger out of his hat. If I could run with anyone in the final, it's this girl, referring to Kendall. What?
Well, he should. She's the best girl in the competition.
Yeah.
So he'd be dumb to like now after, okay, we're done. Like, see ya. You did what you needed to for me. I did what I needed to for you. I hope you lose. Like that. If you don't want to run with Kendall, you don't want to win. That's what it comes down to. So he'd be an idiot to say anything else.
Yeah, I was
It's
impressed.
so funny to see it, like him squeezing and hugging her, and I'm like, what is going on here?
They're best friends now.
Forever.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I was really impressed with Mark in this elimination. He showed a lot of endurance. And Will, he wanted to be there, and he said earlier in the episode, there's other factors that are motivating him. I think it's his co-producers.
I was going to say,
to stay on the other side of the camera.
It's his executive producer credit. That's really motivating him.
I also think if him and Kendall can start working together, they could be a very unstoppable duo. They are both very physically fit and have good social relationships and have shown to win challenges.
Especially if, with so much being set in partners right now, there's got to be a partners component to the final. And I don't know if you guys play co-ed sports a lot, but a lot of the time it doesn't matter what guys you have on your team. It comes down to which team has the better girls, because the girls tend to, and I say this as a woman, be the like liabilities. And so the less liabilities that you have, the better your co-ed team tends to be. And so in this case, I'm not surprised in the slightest that Kendall and Mark won, because I think Kendall is a stronger competitor than Katie. Anybody in this challenge wants Kendall wants Kendall around that's a guy, because there's going to be a partner component and you want at least the opportunity to get to work with her over some of these other women. So like none of this surprised me. I think it just kind of like did another spotlight on the age-old co-ed sports. Like if you've played them, the guys don't tend to matter as much in this stuff. You need strong women in order to have a good team. Okay, that's why I think that's the biggest reason why they brought it home.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. And then the last few things that I guess were sad in this episode, Tyrion knows that a lot of the men are happy he's going home. He gave everything he had, and today he lost to a better competitor. And Katie says she usually leaves the show flipping people off, and now she's hugging them. She kept her word, and that's the most important thing. She's sad to leave, but excited to see her husband and baby. And she's glad she came. Anissa doesn't know what's going to happen between her and Tyrion after this, but she'd like to see him again. She thinks he's a nice guy. And if she can crack away that hard exterior, then we may be able to work on something. And they actually, kissed as he left. And Gisela's just not happy about Kendall returning and does not want to go against Kendall in the arena. And Mark says with $500,000, close to your grass, you have to go from nice to being strategic, and people's feelings might get hurt, but it's all part of the game.
Are you guys sad that Katie went home?
I liked Katie, but also I guess in terms of who's there, I'm glad that other people are still there. I was more sad about Tyrion going.
I definitely wanted Tyrion to stay, but we lost out on an episode of Beth for Katie. You know what I mean? Like I feel like Katie didn't. We needed old Katie back. Jemmy's right. Old Katie, like where art thou? Because I don't think Katie brought the entertainment factor that she used to. I mean, we got it a little bit with Trishelle, but other than that, she didn't bring much athletically for me. Like, I'm sorry, but when every other challenge is falling from heights, so your game plan is to stand there and shake until you fall, I'm not really entertained by you. And I again go back to like, we had some solid alternates not get on this cast, and they would have been far more entertaining, both athletically and drama-wise, I think. So I'm glad Katie got her comeback, but I would need to see her on season 2. If TJ said like bye, see you never to her in a polite way, I'd be okay with that.
Oh,
Yeah, I agree. I was happy she was going to be on this season. I was looking forward to her return.
Me
but
too.
It's really just been lackluster. You know, she had that drama with Trishelle. That was exciting. And since then, all she's done is volunteer herself to go in.
riveting television.
Yeah, we're not here to play that game. You know, the point of the game is not to go into eliminations, right, Jemmy? And like, what is Katie doing?
It seems like Jemmy's the only person that seems to know that. So I don't know. But yeah, no. So I feel similarly. I feel like Katie in the beginning, she brought some entertainment, but right now
But she was also forced into that entertainment. Like,
yeah,
Trishelle put her in that place by being
She did.
Trishelle. It wasn't Katie like instigating or initiating anything. But I don't know how much. I can't remember how much she really like instigated. I feel like she did a lot of like closing things off, of like hitting things with plungers and flipping people off and telling them to go fuck themselves, which I appreciate all those moves. But if you aren't gonna entertain me athletically, I need you to entertain me with your interpersonal relationships, and she did neither. So I would like to not see her again. Maybe we can replace her next season with Evelyn. So no one says no. Who says no? If you do, get out.
Okay, so if you're in the comments and you're watching,
Yeah. Oh, please DM me. No, say it publicly so I can make sure that everybody sees how wrong you are.
well, I think we had quite a great discussion about episode 6. Intrigued to see what happens in the last couple episodes we have left of the Challenge All-Stars. But before we go, we got some things to, say. So, Jason, where can people find you?
Oh, you can find me on Twitter at @TheRealJO. No longer tweeting about BB Can 9, just reliving its glory. It was an amazing season. Follow me for more reality TV show takes. A lot of food shows coming back soon.
And Carrie, tell the people where they can find you.
You can find me at KGD26. Right now, I'm just mad that the UK Circle has been canceled. That Friday news dump was not one that I appreciated. It was their best season yet, and then
I know, and the ratings were good. So I don't know.
Not
crazy.
to like tangent too much, but I wonder if it's because the cast came out and put that show's like shit on blast and was like, they produced so much of it that it wasn't actually a game. And like, so the integrity of it is ruined because like so many of them came out and just were like, I wasn't able to do this, but this person could do this. I didn't get to talk to people. I only had one chat, and kind of exposed all of it. That I wonder if they were like, you know what, like we can't do this anymore.
Wow.
So that got dropped today, which means one of my podcasts is donezo for the UK versions.
So Netflix.
Keep it going. We
just
know there's
keep
a
it going.
season 3 because they cast seasons 2 and 3 at the same time. I don't know if they filmed season 3 already, but I know that they cast both of them at the same time. So we at least have a season 3 coming, US Circle. But yeah, I'm just tweeting about things that make me sad right now, like the Circle being canceled. And that's at KGD26. You can also check out our finale coverage. I thought our finale coverage was fun. We didn't do so much a recap, but we had like a conversation about the season and what happened. And I thought it was really good. Had a couple great guests, Ganjo and Fredo. So check that out if you are a Circle fan. I was entertained. Hopefully you're entertained too.
Wonderful. Thank you. And you can follow me at Peace Love Jen. I tweet about reality TV and other random things in life. I guess I was tweeting about BB Can 9, so I guess I'm not tweeting about that anymore because it finished. I've been kind of still tweeting about the Circle, but it kind of ended, so I guess I'm not tweeting about that either. I'll be tweeting about Hell's Kitchen when it returns because it's returning in a couple weeks, so I'm super excited for that. There, more to come. Oh, and if you are a Survivor fan, I will be talking Survivor Cases on Rob Has a Podcast with Rob on Wednesday night. So that should be a fun time. And in general, also other fun things that we have. So you can follow us here at, Silent Podcasts on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. Subscribe to us on YouTube, of course. That's always great. And subscribe to us on Twitch as well. We appreciate all the support that we've gotten so far. As we continue to grow and podcast more content. We have more content coming soon. We just had a few shows that ended, like The Circle and Temptation Island, and BB Can 9. So we'll have more different coverage coming. We talk a lot of reality TV, scripted shows, anime, movies, and more. So be sure to check that out soon. We thank you all so much for watching. Hope you have a wonderful evening, and we will see you next week. Bye, everybody.
See ya.